Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben here. I'm back again today doing another video, and the subject of today's video is going to be on Shaquille O'Neal, but more specifically his teammates. If you're unfamiliar, Shaq was a dominant force in the NBA for 19 seasons from 1992 to 2011. He was a 15-time All-Star and has been called the most dominant player in NBA history, but along the way, he's had a lot of good teammates, and today I just wanted to go through some of those guys, talk about each of them, and talk about their careers a little bit, and basically who was the best when they were playing with Shaquille O'Neal. Now, I'd like to clarify that there are plenty of other players that were really good that played with Shaq besides the guys that I have on this list. There's guys like Horace Grant who were good, Nick Van Exel, Glenn Rice, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton for the 1 year they played with Shaq. Guys like that, I didn't include them in this video today, but I do acknowledge that they are very good players in their time. So my first official runner-up here to get started is Ray Allen. Ray Allen played one season with Shaq from 2010 to 11 with the Boston Celtics, and in that season, Ray Allen averaged 17 points per game. He shot 49% from the field and 44% from three, so really good efficiency numbers, and he got 3 rebounds and 3 assists per game. I would have had Ray higher on this list, but he was pretty well past his prime at this point. And he was pretty much like a JJ Redick type at this point for any given team, just kind of like a catch and shoot guy. Couldn't really create much of his own offense. It would have been interesting to see what him and Shaq could have done though if it was say like 2003 rather than 2010. But he's our official runner-up or honorable mention, so to speak. So starting off this list at number 10, then officially I have Eddie Jones, who played with Shaq for 3 seasons from 1996 to 1999. The best of those seasons coming in 1996 to 1997. Eddie Jones averaged 17 points per game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2.5 steals per game, 1 block a game. He shot 44% from the field and 39% from 3. So pretty good efficiency numbers for a guy who shot it a lot and was generally known for being relatively inefficient during his career. The 39% from 3 is pretty impressive this year and is actually, I think, the second highest of his entire career. He was really Shaq's number 2 on this early Lakers team. At this point, Kobe was still a rookie, and so Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel were the main dudes complimenting Shaq on this team, and Eddie Jones, being the primary second option. And Nick Van Exel basically being like the third wheel. Eddie Jones was an all-star this year, and I think that was both because he was playing really well and also because Shaq was there and they were a pretty good team overall. So he's at number 10. At number 9, I have Kevin Garnett, who he played with during his 1 year with the Celtics in 2010 to 11. During that year, Kevin Garnett averaged 15 points per game, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Shot 53% from the field. Garnett was well past his prime at this point, but he was still a good contributing player. He was an all-star this year, maybe more based on his name rather than his production, but still the 15 and 9 on really pretty good efficiency was impressive, and he still was a good defensive player, not nearly as impactful as he was maybe 3 to 4 years earlier, but definitely still a really good player. And, you know, if this team would have been completely healthy in 2011, they probably would have gone a lot farther than the second round, I think. But, again, it just was a matter of this team being a little bit older. Okay, following that at the number 8 slot, I again have another one of these Boston Celtics because Shaq truly was on a very, very talented team when he went to the Celtics in 2010 to 11. I have Rajon Rondo, who basically was in the heart of his prime this season. This year he averaged 11 points per game, 11 assists per game, 2 steals. He shot 48% from the field, which is pretty good for him, and very bad from 3, but he didn't really shoot any 3s at all, so that wasn't too big of a deal. But Rajon Rondo could just control an offense like none other during his time when he was in his prime. Nowadays, he's slowed down a bit, but when he was athletically in his prime, like this season I'm talking about, when he was 24 years old, he was really a force to be reckoned with, and he really was the engine that made this Boston offense go. And defensively, he was a very, very staunch defender at this time of his career, and he was an all-star this year as well. Okay, now coming into, I believe we're looking at number 6 now, or number 7 still, actually. Yeah, number 7, now that I think of it, is Paul Pierce, who played again with Shaq during the 2010 to 11 season. During that season, Pierce was still an all-star, still putting up really good numbers. He averaged 19 points per game, five rebounds per game, 3 assists, shot 50% from the field and 37% from three, so still really a good, efficient player. Probably the best player on that Celtics team at the time. He was actually, of those older dudes between him, Ray Allen, Garnett, and Shaq, he was the youngest. He was 33 that season. Still at the tail end of his prime. Still definitely a respectable player. He started to trail off about 3 years after this, but Pierce was definitely the best offensive player on that Boston team. Rondo was the engine of the team, but Pierce was the best offensive player on that side of the ball. Next, okay, now we're going on to number 6. We're finally moving off of that Boston team. That team was really loaded, but now we're finally moving off of it. I'm talking about Amari Stoudemire at number 6 from 2007 to 2008, which he played with Shaq for 2 seasons, but this is the season where he played a bit better and was healthier. This season, Amari averaged 25 points per game along with 9 rebounds. He blocked 2 shots a game. He shot 59% from the field. He was really just a force to be reckoned with, and he was right in his athletic prime right here. He was 25 years old. He had given up his number 32 a little bit earlier, and Shaq actually ended up taking number 32 as Amari moved on to number 1. Yeah, Amari was basically everything you'd want out of a power forward in the mid-2000s. He challenged all those dudes like Garnett, Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki to be one of the best power forwards in the game. And you could argue that there was a stretch in there when he was the best power forward in the game, maybe around like between 2008, 2009, 2010. You could argue he was the best power forward in the game at that point, as those other guys had slowed down. But I think just based on those stats alone, 25 and 9 and good efficiency, you can see that Amari was a force to be reckoned with. He was also an all-star that year, of course. Next, coming into our top 5 here, I have Steve Nash at number 5. So of the 2 seasons he played with Shaq, like Amari, 2007 to 2009, I picked the 2007 to 2008 season. In that year, he averaged 17 points per game. He averaged 11 assists per game. He averaged 1 steal a game. He shot over 50% from the field and 47% from 3. So really his efficiency combined with his raw stats like numbers, points and assists, those really blow him above Amari to me. And I think the reason why I have Steve Nash above Amari is that like a lot of Amari's game was predicated on Steve facilitating. So for those reasons, I have Steve above Amari. Coming in at number 4, I have Penny Hardaway, who played with Shaq for 3 seasons from 93 to 96. The best season that I'm highlighting here is the 94 to 95 season, in which they had the best record in the East, I believe, and they got to the finals where they lost. Penny Hardaway shot 51% from the field, 35% from 3, which was actually pretty high for him for his entire career. He also averaged 21 points per game, 4 rebounds a game, and 7 assists per game, along with 2 steals a game. So really good stats for Penny Hardaway, an athletic freak at a 6'7" point guard who could jump out of the gym. He was the perfect complement for a really young athletic Shaq who could run really well too. They pushed the ball really well, were a really good transition team, and really complement each other well. And it would have been interesting to see what they could have done together if they would have played together for a longer amount of time. Next, I have Dwayne Wade coming in at number 3. The season that I'm going to highlight, well, actually, I should back up. They played together for 3 years from 2004 to 2007. The year that I'm going to highlight is the year that they did go on and win the finals together. 2005 to 2006, Dwayne Wade averaged 27 points per game, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, a block. He also shot 50% from the field. So really amazing numbers from Wade. He was probably one of his best seasons. He just played outstanding, and the team just came together really well, and they won the title by no surprise. They had two of probably the top 10 players in the NBA that season, and they just basically had a really good chemistry too. Whereas like Wade could play some combo guard and he could get the ball to Shaq when he needed it, but Shaq was at a point in his career where he was a big contributor, like for sure the second option, but he was also comfortable with letting Wade take more of the burden on offense, which was really good for both of their games. Okay, this is a controversial one. I will preface this by saying I'm looking at one individual season for each of his teammates. I'm not looking for their entire tenure as his teammates, just the best individual season for each of his teammates. So by that, you can probably guess that at number 2, I don't have LeBron James. I have Kobe Bryant. Kobe's best year was Shaq, or let me back up. He played with Shaq from 96 to 04. His best year playing with Shaq was 2002 to 2003. That year, Kobe averaged 30 points per game. He had 7 rebounds per game, 6 assists per game, 2 steals, a block. He also shot 45% from the field and 38% from 3. That is the best three-point percentage of his entire career, if you did not know that. So he was very efficient that year. Actually, one of his higher field goal percentages, too, at 45%. And he had to carry a load for a team that was enduring an injured Shaq for part of this year, so that's why Kobe's numbers were a little bit higher. His rebounds and assists were some of the highest of his career too. It's actually the most rebounds he's ever gotten in a given season, and like tied for the most assists he's ever gotten in a given season, and it's the highest he's ever got for steals per game. And blocks per game. Well, tied for blocks per game. But Kobe just really balled out the season and carried the team pretty well. And if not for an injured Shaq, they could have been looking at a 4th straight title. And at number 1, it may be unpopular, but I think if we're being honest with ourselves, a single season performance, LeBron's MVP campaign in 2009 to 10, the 1 year he played with Shaq, was pretty impressive. That year, in his MVP season, or one of his MVP seasons, with an older, less impressive, slowing down Shaq, LeBron averaged 30 points per game. He shot over 50% from the field. He averaged 7 rebounds per game, 9 assists per game. He got 2 steals per game and a block per game. LeBron just had it going on at this point in his career, right at his athletic prime. He was 25 years old. He just had it all going on, and I think you could. It's like splitting hairs between him and Kobe at these top 2 spots, but I think there's an argument to be made either way. But I think when I consider that LeBron had a way worse version of Shaq than Kobe did, I give the edge to LeBron as being a little bit better here. I can't imagine what it would have been like if Shaq would have played in his prime with LeBron. That would have been astounding, but we never got to see that. But that's all I got for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you find it interesting. Leave comments below if you have any, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.